Europe or Asia that don't face those same input costs.
Right, so demand might drop.
Demand drops, maybe innovation slows down, maybe jobs are even lost if companies can't stay competitive globally.
And you mentioned small businesses specifically getting hit hard. Why them in particular?
Yeah, they often feel it more acutely. Big multinational companies, they might have, complex supply chains.
More options.
More options, deeper pockets. Maybe they can even shift production somewhere else to get around the tariff.
But a small company.
A small company, much tougher. They're usually less diversified, running on really thin margins. They might depend heavily on one specific imported part or material.
So a sudden tariff could be devastating.
Absolutely. It could wipe out their entire profit margin overnight. Makes it impossible to compete unless they jack up prices, which, could lose them their customers. We've definitely seen small manufacturers struggle, sometimes even close, because a key material suddenly became unaffordable.
So the intention might be protection, but the reality, according to O'Leary and these economists, is quite different. Is there history to back this up, this idea that tariffs don't work?
Oh, definitely. Well, there are some very specific, limited arguments, like maybe temporary protection for a brand new infant industry or for genuine national security.
Exceptions.
Right. But history is kind of littered with examples where broad tariffs just backfired spectacularly. The classic one everyone points to is Smoot-Hawley back in the 1930s.
The Great Depression era.
Exactly. It was meant to protect U.S. farms and businesses, but is widely seen as making the Depression worse because it triggered this global trade war. Everyone put up barriers.
Commerce just seized up.
Pretty much. So O'Leary's claim, never have, might be a bit strong.
A touch hyperbolic, maybe?
Perhaps. But definitely taps into that historical pattern.
Yeah.
Tariffs often lead to retaliation, trade shrinking, and economic pain, not stable growth.
That really paints a picture. So we've got this strong economic argument against tariffs from O'Leary and others, the real damage they seem to cause. And yet, the political leaders often seem stuck, divided on the issue. While you have businesses, actual companies on both sides, calling for things to cool down, for clearer rules. It's a real disconnect.
It absolutely is. And that leaves us with a really important question for you, the listener, to think about. Given these economic impacts we've talked about, the higher costs, the hit to competitiveness, the damage especially to smaller businesses, and O'Leary's very direct claim that tariffs just plain don't work, what is really at stake here for businesses, for you as a consumer in these kinds of international trade fights? Is it, like O'Leary says, ultimately just a stupid waste of time with consequences that go way beyond the political headlines? Something to consider.